Hi, so in this video, we are going to explore the world of surds. But before we get started with this, I think we need to just be clear about certain things that will lead us to surds. So let's start by thinking about square numbers. We'll think about square numbers and square roots. And square roots are written using this symbol. So let's start with something fairly simple. Let's start with 2 squared. Well, you probably know that 2 squared is 2 times itself, and that will give us an answer of 4. And there we have our square number. It has been produced by squaring an integer to produce this number. And one of the reasons we call it a square is because it produces a square. If we drew it, it would be 2 by 2, which would be 4 squares. Okay. So the inverse of that is we can say that the square root of 4 is 2. So if we can say that 2 squared equals 4, then inversely we can say the square root of 4 equals 2. Another example, 5 squared is 5 times 5, multiply it by itself, and that produces the square number 25. So inversely, we can say the root of 25 is 5. So that's our starting point. And now let's have a look at the first square numbers. So we've got 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81 and 100. They're our first square numbers. And if I put a root round each one of those, then that should take us back to the number that was multiplied by itself to produce them. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And there we have it. So they're the first 10. Now, that's all well and good, but we also should appreciate that any numbers exist in between these. But clearly, if root 1 is going to be 1 and root 4 is going to give us 2, then if we look at what goes on between there, i.e. root 2 and root 3, they're not going to give us nice simplistic integers as answers, because their answers are going to fall somewhere between 1 and 2. So let's look at that a bit more. So here I've just put square root of the first 9 numbers, and the square root of 1 we know is 1. It's absolutely fine. Square root of 4 we know is 2, and the square root of 9 we know is 3. But all of these exist in between, and these are our surds. So they are the square roots where we're not going to get an integer. And if you try it out on your calculator, so just put into your calculator squared root of 2, and it will immediately give its answer in that form. If you push equals, you'll just get root 2. If you then turn it into a decimal, you're going to get this long list of decimals. So that's what appears on my calculator when I put in root 2. And this is known as irrational. It can't be given in a nice simplistic form. The most simplistic way to write that number is to write it in surd form as root 2. And that is what our surds are. They're irrational numbers and they are given in the form of a root. An integer, the root of an integer. Okay, so that's the first thing.